I am Dr. Munir. I will be introducing to you the first module of the course on research methodology. This module is titled Introduction to the Research Components, Biostatistics, Epidemiology and Philosophy of Science. At the end of this course, you will be able to define the terms research, evidence-based medicine, biostatistics, epidemiology. You will be able to describe what is the intrinsic nature for a good researcher, what are the existing status of research in healthcare sciences, what are the potential areas for research in healthcare, what is the importance of epidemiology for healthcare research, and how biostatistics is necessary to conduct research in health sciences, and of course, what is the implication of health philosophy in understanding the research for healthcare. After going through this module, you would be able to relate what are the terminologies that are used in the process of research, what are the intrinsic nature of a researcher that make a successful research, what is the existing state of research, what are the trends for research in various geographical locations, how biostatistics would be important in understanding and designing a research, how epidemiology would be important in defining the policies for research, what is the philosophy of science, and how this philosophy of science would relate to our understanding of planning for a research. And the contents for this course would be consonant with the objectives that we have listed. You would have a total list of glossary of terminology, you would have a list of characteristics which define who a good researcher would be, what is the importance of biostatistics in designing a research and in understanding the outcomes of research, how epidemiology impinges on the framing of research policy, what are the factors that are important as the philosophy of science, and how this philosophy of science impacts on the philosophy of health, and thereby how this philosophy of health makes us to understand how a research for healthcare sciences can be fruitfully planned. Of this glossary of terminology, I would like to stress upon 2 or 3 definitions which would be more important for us to carry through. One is, what is research? Research is a diligent search for truth through a systematic process of searching. This is how WHO defines it. Then we also have a kind of definition for biostatistics, which is like grammar for any language. It makes understanding of research more meaningful. Epidemiology is also called as population sciences because as against individuals, it stresses on populations for understanding the disease trends and the therapeutic interventions that would be necessary. As you go through the slides that I am presenting now, nature and qualities of researcher in health sciences explain to you what are the different qualities that are necessary to be a good researcher. The foremost quality that you require to be a good researcher is commitment. You need to have commitment for the work that you are doing. Research is not something which is a routine work that you do as a part of a practice. It needs a kind of dedication which may be more than what you require for a practice. The second quality that you would require as a researcher is curiosity. To be curious is setting the stage to be a researcher. If there is no curiosity to understand why things happen or how things happen, there can be no requirement for conducting a research. The third thing is intelligence. To understand what is happening around us, we need to figure out why it is happening, how it is happening, and this requires some amount of intelligence which is fairly more than an average. Then systematic. Being systematic works out or it irons out lot of creases when you work out. Being systematic, you will not be haphazard, you will follow a set of rules which will ultimately give you the outcomes that you desire. Then quick thinking. As you conduct research, just as in any other thinking job, you need to make decisions very fast, sometimes at the crack of a second. So, you need to have the ability to think fast, think quick and take decisions. Analytical mind, because the outcomes that you get at the end of the research are in the form of raw data. You need to figure out what is happening, how it is happening, what is the interlinkage between the two sets of data that you are getting. So, for this an analytical mind is very essential. A sympathetic nature, because you are dealing with the human subjects, you need to have a kind of sympathy towards the subject that you are dealing with. We cannot have a kind of offhandish approach to the subjects that we enlist as our subjects. A people person, in the sense that you need to have a team, build a team and work as a team. Unless you are a people person, you cannot have a team based approach, and unless you have a team based approach, research would not become very fruitful. The ability to stay calm, because research is something which is mostly unpredictable. As you start working on research, you will come across various factors that you would not have expected. So, to stay calm, unruffled and take decisions in a very calm manner are very necessary to be a good researcher. And an excellent writer and communicator, because at the end of the research you need to communicate both orally and in writing what your outcomes are and where you went right, where you would have gone better, so that people would understand what is your work and what is the worth of your work. As you can see on the slide, current state of research, most of the current state of research that you see in health sciences falls into 2 or 3 categories. One is into the basic clinical research which have been going on for a long time. Then there are some frontier areas in health sciences research which include something like energy medicine, biomedical research, then you have energy medicine, you have atomic energy, various things which come from the backgrounds of physics, atomic energy, so many other factors. And third and most important, you also have a kind of research angle which comes from the humanities background, something which comes from sociology, from psychology and such related fields. Conducting research which helps us to understand the psychology of a person, the sociological settings of disease trends are as much important as conducting a clinical trial based on some physical principle. So, we need to be focused on what are the priorities for conducting our research, and mind me, priorities are not always on technological sides, much of this could be on the human side also. The core focus areas for research include a host of factors that I would be listing now. One is clinical research in conditions of national importance. There are many priority health issues which a country needs to face up, and the policymakers are looking at us, all the healthcare researchers, to provide some answers in this area. So, one of the core focus area for conducting research would be in the priority health problems that face our country. Second would be development of new drugs. We need to have newer interventions, newer therapies and better modulated therapies that would bring down the sufferings of people. So, this could be one more focus for our research area. Another area is basic and translational research, where we conduct fundamental research and translate this into practice. This is a very important factor that provides practical solutions for the health problems that we have. Then development of new diagnostic devices. Before we start treating any person, we have to understand what this person is suffering from, which comes from our diagnosis that we make. There are many technological advances that provide answers for conducting this diagnostics. How can we bring in the technological advances that have happened in the various frontier areas of science, like in physics, in atomic energy, into understanding of diagnostics for medical care. This is one of the areas that we can think of for conducting research. Then rational drug therapy is something which is very important to understand. We have already seen there are many various infectious diseases where people have become resistant for many of the drug conditions, for the drugs, various drugs people have become resistant to. So, how do we overcome that? One is by introducing new drugs, second is by making a rational use of the existing drugs. This rational drug therapy has to become a kind of movement, and to make this a kind of movement we need to have some evidences to educate our medical practitioners to make a better use of the existing resources. So, this rational drug therapy, conducting research in rational drug therapy is something of a priority issue for us. Then genetic and molecular basis of disease. To understand diseases, we need not go only into pathological basis. There are much deeper conditions which are available, like the molecular basis, the genetic basis. If we can understand the molecular and genetic basis, in fact we could even understand what could be the therapy for it at the genetic level or at the molecular level. Then the mainstreaming of traditional medicines are one of the very focus areas in many of the government policies. There are various disease conditions which are more open for treatment to some of these traditional therapies like homeopathy, like Ayurveda, like Unani, like Siddha, like yoga, and we need to have some kind of evidences generated to say that this particular therapy is much better either in effectiveness or in both effectiveness and economics for the conditions like lifestyle disorders. We also need to conduct research in epidemiological studies so that we understand how people behave in a particular geographic area for a particular condition. What are the factors which predispose people for a particular condition, and what are the factors which, if taken care, a huge quantum of population can be disease free. And health economics. What are the factors which influence our decision making? The factors which influence the decision making are, one is effectiveness of the therapy, second is the economics of the therapy. If you can explain that a particular therapy, though being effective, is more economical compared to another similarly effective therapy, it would make a lot of difference for the national economy. The delivery of health through telemedicine. Telemedicine is in fact emerging as the future of medicine, because you do not need doctors to be present at every nook and corner of the country. You can have a doctor at one hub, and the doctor's assistants can be there either in the form of a person or in the form of some electronic devices which help the doctor to make the diagnosis and also pass on the solutions for that condition. What medicine has to be taken, what therapy has to be given, and what should be the management of that condition, so that the paucity of doctors can to some extent be resolved through this application of technology. And finally, capacity building of human resources is a very important factor, and it is also one of the research topic. To conduct whatever research that we have listed so far, we need to have people who have the capacity, who have the capability, and who have the aptitude, and all these things we can build up through a process of training and capacity building. All these factors can be core areas for conducting research. Epidemiology, as we already have seen, is population medicine. It helps to understand, as the slide says, it helps to understand why some people become diseased in the same condition under the same factors, whereas some other people do not contract that condition. So, understanding epidemiology means understanding the nature of a population to express for a particular disease or a particular disease condition. Now, the understanding of epidemiology gives lot of data and lot of information for making policies in health, for making policies, for making plans, and for devising what are the strategies for our healthcare system. Understanding epidemiology is very important. Now, role of biostatistics, there is something which is said that unless you measure it, you cannot manage it. So, to manage research, you need to measure research, and how do we measure research? By some kind of quantity or by some kind of quality, which we get through biostatistics. We can correlate biostatistics with grammar for a language. Grammar helps us to understand the meaning and the method for any language. Similarly, biostatistics helps us to design a study and also to understand what are the outcomes that we have taken. To understand the outcomes and to explain the outcomes in a very objective manner by which anybody can understand it easily. Though biostatistics in its application might sound very difficult and complicated, the end products of application of biostatistics is something which is very simple and easy to understand. If you have to understand what is the philosophy of science, we have to look into two factors. One is, what are the aims of science, what does science aim to do at, and second is, what is the impact of the experiments that we do on a scientific basis. To understand, there are two things we have to be clear about. One is, any scientific study should be reproducible. If I have done a study and I have given you the results, you should be in a position to replicate the same study with similar results. Though you may not get same results all the time, taking all other conditions into consideration being equal, then you have to get similar kind of results. This is one of the factors which decide what is the scientificity of any study. The second is falsification. If you can prove that something can be falsified, it means it is scientific. If you have to say, give one example. If there is a statement that all swans are white, it means you can falsify it by showing a swan which is not white. That is, if you could show a swan which is either black or pink or yellow or whatever other color, you can falsify the statement that all swans are white. So, this is a measure of scientificity. If we cannot have a falsification that is built into the statement, then either that is not scientific or we have to claim refuge that it is divine. So, take your pick, whether the research that you are going to do has a scientific basis or it does not have a scientific basis. Falsification is a very sound and important factor to claim that the study that you are doing is scientific. To build in this falsification, you need to have an hypothesis, as you would go into the next modules to understand what is hypothesis, how to create a research problem. The factor of falsification should always be there at the back of your minds. Under the philosophy of healthcare, we need to answer certain questions. When we say the philosophy, and especially in relevance and context to healthcare, we need to define who requires or deserves healthcare. What is the kind of healthcare that our population needs? Is healthcare a fundamental right of people, or is it something which is given as a dole by the government? What should be the basis for calculating the cost of healthcare that we provide or the state provides? How can healthcare be best administered to the greatest number of people at the least of the cost? And what are the necessary parameters for conducting a clinical trial? So, when we take all these factors into consideration, what becomes paramount in framing a research policy based on philosophy of healthcare would be ethics. What is the ethics of conducting research? How can we enroll people? On what basis can we include people into healthcare? What is the kind of population that we should be avoiding? What is the kind of risk that we should be avoiding for the subjects that we enroll for our research studies? And there are various other factors also which have to be taken into consideration. Like for example, India is found as a destination for healthcare research. Though there is some kind of happiness that we can derive from this, there is also some kind of reservation that we have to feel about it, because many of the multinational companies find India very fertile ground for exploiting our population, a population which may not be very educated about the risks involved in various kinds of clinical trials. So, we have to be as researcher, as a person who either conducts research or administers research, be guarded about the intentions and the motivations behind any research. So, the philosophy of healthcare influencing on the research is very important topic for us to understand how best we can give relief for our people and how best we can avoid exploiting people, not just a general cross section of people, but also certain vulnerable groups of people like women and children. Finally, this module also gives you some kind of overview of various healthcare systems that we have. It gives you an introduction of what is allopathy or the modern medicine, what is homeopathy, what are the principles that underlie homeopathy, what is Ayurveda, what are the various principles and philosophies of Ayurveda, what is Unani, what is naturopathy, what is yoga, and what is the newly emerging health science area called Svarikpa. You get to understand the various principles of the major healthcare systems that we have in our country, so that you can easily relate to the various research studies that have gone on and how you can frame either your discipline based study or interdisciplinary studies or transdisciplinary studies. So, when you have an intention to conduct a study, you might be having an intention either to understand what is the importance or what is the effectiveness of a particular therapy, or you could even try to correlate and contrast two different therapies. For this, understanding what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of each of the major medical systems would be necessary for you to understand, and this understanding of various healthcare therapies also brings in some kind of healthy respect towards various healthcare systems, and this is something which is necessary for any objective and unprejudiced researcher. The slide which comes to you next would explain what are the various references that have been made to make or to compile this module. You have the whole list of references. You can go through those references as additional reading to supplement the module which we have provided to you in the text form. So, I should thank you all for giving me the opportunity and wish you all a good and happy satisfied researching experience. Thank you.